Hello, Ghost Critic here with another set of reviews. How lucky are you? If you'd watched my video yesterday, you'd have seen me doing reviews of basically all the independent type titles that I've got this week and over the last couple of weeks. And it had my pick of the week, pick of the month, probably pick of forever. If you haven't seen my last video, go check it out after you've watched this, of course. But I've got another stack of comics to read, and strangely enough there's an independent right at the very start, but I forgot about it. But it's not a forgettable title. It is issue number 8 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. For those of you who are reading it, we found out at the end of last issue that Buffy's a robot. When did that happen? Will you find out in this issue. It's a whole mind swap deal. Spike initially asked Andrew to try and find out what this big bad was on its way, and what it was all about. But you know what, and to basically look after Buffy, make sure she doesn't come to any harm. But Andrew took it a little bit too far. And there's a whole mind-swapping deal, kind of witness protection, kind of scenario for Buffy. Yeah, Andrew swapped brains for a Buffy bot into Buffy's real body, Buffy's mind into the Buffy bot, which is why she didn't know she was a robot. And somewhere in a witness protection act type deal, Buffy's just living a completely normal life, oblivious to the fact that she was ever the Slayer. She is just leading a normal life. She's cooking, she's drinking, she's making a meal, just living a suburban housewife's life. There are some nice funny elements. You know, she's stirring a big pot with a spoon and she breaks it off, and it looks like a steak that she stabs the vampires with, but she's just like, oops, I've broken a spoon. And it's the kind of the subtle bits, like where she's drinking a glass of wine and of course it's red, so it looks like blood, and it's like but yeah, someone's found her. This young lady on the front, I think it's one of the Slayers when everyone had the Buffy powers. Obviously she's pretty hacked off about not having them anymore. Either that, or she does look very similar to Frey. So I don't know if she's Frey either. I've, sad to say, I've forgotten. It could well be Frey and I'm just forgetful. The only, well, it's not really a problem I have with it, but it does make you wonder about the whole storyline of her having a baby and her deciding to have an abortion, because this is all done while she's in the robot's body. Yes, crazy. Andrew has been tinkering with robots and making them super real to the point where she thinks she's having a baby. And it's like, well, does that negate the whole storyline? Was it just a throwaway storyline that didn't really make much sense? Was a bit pointless now because she obviously is a robot and she's not pregnant. But the deal is really, it was Buffy's mind in the robot. She had to process these thoughts as if she was like obviously in her real body, and the ramifications and how it would affect all of those around her and in essence to herself as well. So the decisions she makes are still very real and still very relevant to the Buffy characters. So I don't know if it was such a throwaway storyline or like a red herring as such, but I still like that interaction between Spike and Buffy discussing, you know, having an abortion. Let's lighten things up a little bit. There's a ton of, you know, pop culture references in here. Whenever you have Andrew in there, it's just like full of them. It's the parts of Andrew are always funny. He's in Spike's kind of alien insect spacecraft, and he's pretending he's Captain Kirk or Captain Picard in Star Trek, and he's got the helm and it's going Star Trek log 6.4.2 whatever, and it is funny. It's like the insects say, you know, he doesn't stop talking, a bit like me, and that's Buffy. If you're a fan of Buffy, you will really love and enjoy this comic. If you're not, probably not best to pick this up, but I still really enjoy it. Ultimate Comics X-Men issue 10 and the Mutant Revolution at Camp Angel has well and truly begun. The mutants are taking over their prison. From the last issue, Storm had had enough, and she basically gave them their freedom to all the mutants that were apparently being protected from society, but obviously we all know that that wasn't the case. There were horrific experimentations going on in lower levels, people being caged, whether it's behind, you know, laser bars or within tubes of water, columns, pillars of water. The interesting thing about this is the kind of impassioned speech from Storm. Stacey X, clearly the kind of revolutionary guerrilla tactics from the last issue. She basically just wants to kill them all. They've killed her people, so, you know, an eye for an eye kind of thing. But Storm makes this impassioned speech that, you know, we're not here imprisoned in this camp because of other humans. We're here because another mutant killed a bunch of humans. Well, not just a bunch, but from Ultimatum, Magneto. So they can't decide what to do with them, so they go to a vote. And the vote turns into a tie. Yes, 50% of the mutants want to kill them, and 50% exactly want them to stay alive, and then they'll just leave and live their lives as were. And it's all down to one person who hasn't made a vote, and it is quite a shock at what this person does. I won't spoil it. I don't know how many out there of you are watching, reading Ultimate Comics X-Men. To be honest, I expected more from Nick Spencer. I don't know whether he is such a fit for the superhero type storylines. Maybe he should stick to his more human character based tales. I'd prefer another writer on here now, but still, you know, it was a good read for what it was. A much better issue than last month's is a Green Lantern issue 8, and it's making a little bit more sense now what's going on. We start off, this is the second part of the storyline of The Secret of the Indigo Tribe, and certainly we are given a few hints, and we're like, whoa, kind of, what's that all about? Progressing along the way. We start off with the Indigo Tribe basically torturing Sinestro and trying to convert him into the Indigo Tribe, but Sinestro is having none of it and is very much fighting back. But in the background we've got Hal and Black Hand having a kind of conversation, and Hal basically taunting Black Hand in a way, trying to get him to use the green of the colour spectrum of rings, because the Indigo Tribe, they can turn to different colours. They can turn to the blue one, they can turn to the yellow, but apparently they were told that they couldn't switch to green, but Black Hand can. Whether he's the only one who can, he does say, no, we actually can change to the green. And just as he changed to the green, Hal's like, ha! Gotcha, and he powers up his replica ring that Sinestro's given him and breaks out and goes looking for Sinestro to, I guess, save him. And he comes across a huge statue all in the colour indigo. Who is it? It's Abin Sur. Is this the big secret? The big reveal that's coming? Abin Sur was actually, you know, part of the Indigo tribe. Who knows? I actually really enjoyed this issue. The artwork is very nice. And the storyline progresses along. There's plenty of action, there's plenty of storytelling, there's plenty of little teasers in there, and then we find in the last panel whether the Indigo tribe were able to turn Sinestro or not. I will not spoil that for you. Batman and Robin issue 8, and this was really nice. It's not a big, you know, action-packed storyline at all. This is a story about a father and a son. A son who so desperately wants to please his father, but just does the worst thing possible to hold his bond with his father. But in great Bruce Wayne, Batman style, Batman is not going to give up on Damian as Robin. And, you know, there is plenty of panels in there that, you know, show the old Robin outfit just hanging there from the supposed death of Jason Todd. Why is that still up, given that he's not really dead? That's just come into my mind. Anyway, yeah, there is this lovely, it's just a whole comic book of an interaction between a father and a son, and Damian as a character now, yes, he's still, you know, he's still that badass, but there is a heart in there. At the same time, I don't want to be fooled by Damian. This does feel like too quick a switch, and I'm just wondering if somewhere along the line Damian is going to turn, and this has all been his mother Talia's big plan to lull Batman into a false sense of security. I hope not. I don't want to have to. We've already flipped back to Damian being an ass once or twice already, and then turning into a partially likeable human being. But I really like this comic. Batman and Robin is definitely moving its way up the back titles for me. Issue 8 of Batwoman, and I know a lot of people have a problem with this, and it is really only because of how much of a treat we had with the first story arc with J.H. Williams III doing the storyline, the art. It was all gorgeous, yes, and it's kind of one of those deals where you have such an epic kind of talented storyteller, artist do a book, and then for someone else to come onto it, they just cannot live up to the previous teller of the story. And this, I think, is very much people's argument with this, saying that they don't like it, because you know what, it isn't that bad of a title. I still love, I know people have a lot of difficulty with the whole backwards and forwards of the storyline, and the storyline's only centering on one of the characters. I know they have a problem with that. I love it. The whole kind of Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs type flipping times, week here, back to the now, a month earlier. I love it. And Amy Reeder, she's not that bad an artist at all. Clearly influenced by Williams. The use of panelling, still very reminiscent of the first story arc, but the artwork is clearly much more clean-cut, bright, vivid colours. I still really enjoy this comic, and I still think people should be out there buying it. Now, my comic book store was a little bit naughty. Yes, it was a little bit naughty. For those of you who watch me regularly, you know I collect JL Dark, and at the moment they're doing a crossover with Rise of the Vampires, a storyline called Rise of the Vampires, and it's in a title called I, Vampire, which I don't collect. You can see what's coming now, don't you? And I wasn't going to get the issue, no intention of buying it at all. But my sneaky little comic book store man slipped this in. You know what? bloody good. I don't really hear many people talking about iVampire. Can someone tell me if this is like standard? Is it always this good? Because you know what? I loved every page of it. You know, this is my very first issue. Sure, it's a crossover, so I kind of guess, I kind of know what's going on. I'm not just thrown into the storyline. But it clearly knows that new people are going to read this and help you out with the whole who are we looking at kind of deal. So, we've got vampires running all over Gotham. How are they there? Yes, we were all very confused in Jail Dark. Where have they all come from? We had the gang of Jail Dark fighting them off, Shade's teleporting them all over the place, it's not really working, and Xanadu's gone in a trance. Then we come to iVampire issue 7, and what we get is why this is all happening for people, basically, I guess, who read Jail Dark. And it's because of the death of one of the characters, Andrew Bennett. Now, he was used as a seal to lock in this character Kane, who's this primordial evil. He's like super bad, evil villain. Is he a vampire? I don't know. I think he is. But he is just super bad, super powerful. He has basically, he's sucking all the magic and using it for himself from the surrounding area, which is why our JL Dark team are getting weaker. They're not being able to fend off these vampire hordes as easily as they would, and why, you know, Shade's coat's acting all freaky. We've got this character, Mary Queen of Blood. She looks as though she's been setting up to have a basically vampire human war for a while, and getting her army together, and this guy Kane has just kind of like swooped in and taken over, and she is not happy, and has teamed up with our JL Dark team to help them fight back basically her vampire army, and try and defeat this Kane, the primordial evil. It was very exciting. If this is par for the course for an iVampire title, I would be quite interested in picking this up. The artwork is just gorgeous. We've got Andrea Sorrentino. It's just beautiful. A lot of it reminds me of the early work on Uncanny X-Force. And then there's so many double splash pages in here, but I don't think they're wasted in any respect. Definitely worth a pickup, definitely. On to my last comic of the week, which would have been pick of the week if it hadn't been for Saga. But again, Carey and Gross have knocked it out of the park. It's the Unwritten issue 36, and this time it's with two past characters that were introduced in various storylines. These two characters here, it's the Tinker and Paulie the Rabbit. Paulie the Rabbit is such an amazing character. It's like this, it's like a rabbit, it's the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, but on crack. Basically, there is swearing aplenty in this title. This is certainly for mature readers only, but again, this is a kind of, this is what we've kind of been waiting for. It's what the repercussions of the whole fight between Pullman and Tommy were 2 issues ago, but the repercussions to the kind of Storyland world. And there are, again, the artwork in here, the amount of characters they throw in is just fantastic. What is happening is there's the wave, and it is just basically destroying anything it meets. Humans, buildings, whatever, and they are all trying to outrun the wave. And you have this picture of a stream of characters, and they're all from literature. So you've got you've got Mr. Bump in there, you've got Dracula, you've got Lone Ranger, you've got, who else have we got here? We've got that big polar bear from, is it, oh, Pullman's Dark Things trilogy, is it? Anyway, there's just a ton of literary characters, and they're all running or, you know, trying to get away and outrun this wave. The story is based on Paulie and the Tinker and their relationship as they're trying to outrun it too. And it is just very, very special. I love this comic. It's, if you're a mature reader, you don't mind a little bit of swearing. Again, you know, it just, that thinking about stuff rather than just reading. It's just a great read. So, I've waffled on enough now. I'm sorry to have kept you. This is me, Ghost Critic, signing out. Don't forget to sign, thumb up or comment. Have a good weekend, folks. I shall see you soon. Bye-bye.